JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. October 18th, 3:30 on this fine Friday. Gonna ramble really quick, probably get out of breath like I normally do on Fridays. Just talk really quick. I'm not even gonna really talk about the market. SPY chopped around in a range, 582 and change, all the way up to 584. So very tight range today, but looks like we're gonna close at or near all-time highs. Once again, was it gonna be the 46th, 47th all-time high for this year? Uh, and then next week, earnings start to pick up. The following week, then we have Halloween, and then the following week after that, I believe, is the Fed meeting, and should be interesting. Probably quarter 8% high. I think the jobs report is on November 1st. I think is it next Friday? 2 weeks from now is it 4? Yeah, November 1st is a Friday, so that'll be the big jobs report. Everybody be glued at the screen watching what the data comes out to kind of set the stage for what the Fed's going to do the following week. Funny how that works, but so individual names first, and then I'll go from there on. Some of the trades I took. But first, Intuitive Surgical, just a monster quarter after the close yesterday. I was talking on the rant yesterday afternoon. Just not a name I've traded recently, and here it is. Right near highs. You look at the premiums. The 550s were expensive. 540s. I don't even want to look at the strikes down to weeklies because you had to be kind of close in the money to make good coin on the calls, right? So I mean, it closed at four. What did it close? 470, whatever. And you would have to get. I mean, the 510s are up nice, but you would have to pay $4 or $5 for a contract, $35 out of money with 1 day to expiration. So that's kind of the thought process there is it makes it tough. Uh, so I passed on that, and then this morning after seeing the earnings, seeing the procedural growth, they have their new model, the adoption by hospitals across the globe. I mean, I talk about it as the Gillette razor program, right? Everybody always uses that analogy when they talk about a product, that the initial product and then the recurring revenue stream you get from the replacement parts, right? The blades for the razor was just one of the best business models, and a lot of people have duplicated that. But with Intuitive Surgical, once you get those expensive machines in there, so number one, they have a vested interest, these hospitals, to hold on to those machines. Then now you get recurring revenue from the procedure. So hit huge milestones, monster cash cow. I think it was 2 billion in revenue. They have billions in cash. I don't know what their treasure chest now is, 10, 15 billion. I don't know, but just a remarkable growth story. So of course, unfortunately, oh, I don't even want to look at. I see Tim's posting the tickers. Oh man. Uh, so I did. So I went and got the lottos at the open, figuring only a 2% move before noontime would the calls went up a couple 100%, and then sure enough, it's went to 517, drops down to 512, chops around there, and then this afternoon find the legs after 2 o'clock, 517 and 522, 523, and it's knocking on the door 524 here. That's what you get with speculative lottos on a Friday. I said it with who am I thinking? ASML or AMD last Friday. You can do one, two, or three of them, or even more than that. But the one you do get, hopefully, more than makes up for the ones you get wrong. So that's kind of the thought process doing those spec lotto trades. I'll continue to try and do my. I was actually looking at ASML, possibly some 735, 740s. And as it was trading up near 720, the 735 stuck. They were 70 by 80. Then even as it was melting higher, it was 75 by 85. It wasn't moving as fast as I like, and that's kind of a lot of risk. So I passed on that, and I almost regretted it for a little bit, and instead went with Intuitive Surgical. Looking forward on Intuitive Surgical, I could see this being like a $600 plus stock now. So don't be surprised if it's the name I trade going forward. So that's Intuitive Surgical. Really quick, I see Tim's is on the audio. So I haven't actually taken a look at Fiverr, and it's been up and down since its last earnings. I mean, I love the story, and uh, I always talk about the possible headwinds for Fiverr because a lot of the products and gigs are being supplanted by AI. But also on the flip side, there's a lot of AI things that folks need assistance with, and that's where Fiverr comes in. So uh, hopefully the amount of new gigs to support AI outweigh the ones that are going to be obsolete because of AI. And I think that's the case, and it sounded like it, their last earnings. It just can't get going. So definitely a name I'm going to look at, Tim's. I just haven't had a chance because it's struggled. And every time I get bullish on the name, I think I got to go look at which calls I had. They look great for a while, lock some in, and then it just faded from there. So all right, so that's Intuitive Surgical. Roku. I mean, you look at the chart on Roku, it's trending upward, slowly but surely, but just not fast enough, right? So, and then every time it looks like it's set to go, uh, it fades. 2 days ago it was over $80, and 20 minutes later it's $78, right? So today, similar story. Right at the open, it wasn't up a lot concerning Netflix's monster beat. I thought that bodes well for the entire sector as a whole. You see Spotify running some of these other content names and subscriber names, and I didn't. I thought Roku would be up much more than it was. Then at the gate, it started to run. I went and got those calls into next week. It spikes to up near 78 and change, and then just just couldn't get going after that. So then the noontime hit goes down to low 78.40, and then it just meticulously melted all the way over $80 at about 3 o'clock. I really like this into next week. I won't be surprised to see analyst upgrades, things like that. And then they have earnings October 30th. So maybe a little finally the break into the mid 80s next week, and then earnings next week. So that's Roku. That's why I added those strikes. Uh, Redfin finally added some more strikes, and I've just been holding those January since the run up in September. Uh, you start looking, and I mentioned it before the open that the red, and they're actually getting quoted from other sites their data, but Redfin saying new homes pending home sales increased 3.5% or so, the most over a month over month basis in over a year and a half. I mean, it's almost like you would think it would have to, considering rates coming down, the pending pent up supply, pent up demand, that whole you would think that story is going to continue. It's just the stock hasn't uh, well, it did great in September. Then it consolidated. I thought it was going to go maybe 12, 13 on a pullback, to see it go all the way down to 10. Hopefully got it out of the way, and then it's onward and upward from here. Got the November strikes, encompass earnings, or well, they haven't announced the date yet, but it should encompass earnings, and maybe next week it starts to finally get back on track. So that's Redfin. And then Wynn. And Wynn had some huge strikes going through. I think it was the 105s for next week. That was at the open. So I was looking, and you have to think China's going to they might possibly surprise Sunday night well, it will be Monday, but Sunday night for us with news, because it's already rumored they're going to do some kind of a cut to their benchmark rate. If that's the case, maybe it's going to be more than expected or what have you. And if that happens, China ADR stocks going to be back in vogue. And I think Wynn should be running regardless, because you have to think that the business is doing better than what it was 6 months ago and a year ago. Now that's that. Clear Secure, not much to say here on Clear Secure. It actually looked like the shorts were taking advantage, right? It had some weakness at the open, and then there was follow through, and then there was no buyers. Went all the way down under 36, found some buyers, and spiked up to 36.60. Was turning around. Now it's trading back here right under 35, $36 here. Not much. I mean, it's done this before. After some big moves, did it back at the start of September, did it back at the start of October. Hopefully, it's a short-lived 1 or 2 session pullback, just a little reset, and then can head higher. So that's that. Yeah, wow, look at AMLX. I have to. Maybe there's some rumors M&A over the weekend. All I see is an upgrade. AMLX maintains $8 price target. Rants for other days on AMLX, but crazy stuff with that one, because I think it still trades at cash or less than cash value, and it still has products and assets and a pipeline. All right. SE limit, not much also to add on here, just churning. I was hoping it was going to close over $100. It looks like it's headed back to the lows of the day, but it's only down 0.4%. Still like this one into next week. I mentioned this ticker HUMA. It's up a little bit in the green. Have to do more due diligence, but certainly it looks interesting into the end of the year. Don't be surprised if I add strikes on that one. And then Biogen. And Biogen's pretty much, it was actually hitting highs in the morning, and then it just faded. Let's see, it's slightly in the green here. Hopefully next week is the week. Just need 3, 4, 5% to the upside just to get it going. And then I think it's off to the races. That's about it. VKTX, this will be the first weekend I have no calls. So this is probably the time, if anybody's been long VKTX, double down on your position, get the calls. Probably the buyout news is going to come this weekend, right? That's typically what happens when I don't have position. They'll run it up on Monday. But figure there's only 2.5 months left in the year. So anyway, thoughts for other days. All right, earnings next week picks up. I think there's 200 companies reporting. I'll have the implied moves. I might try and do a little quick earnings slide. There's some names. I mean, IBM reports next week. Not that I'm going to trade that one, but uber bullish. I wouldn't say uber bullish, but I was playing calls for so long on IBM because at some point you had to figure all their stock buybacks. And the stock got destroyed, and then they, figured things out, and then the trend started to change. Revenue started to, become positive. So, oh boy. All right, rants for other days. Yeah. Oh, now I got 20 minutes left. Do I get some VKTX calls? Oh man, I didn't even know that. All right. Let's have a great afternoon, folks. Have a great weekend. I'll be back. Rock and roll.